What's going on YouTube? My name is Nevin the Barber, and in today's YouTube video we are going to be covering a high taper with the freestyle design. So to get right into this cut today, I will be using my Gold Effect skeletons to carve in my first bald line, and I will be starting on the taper in the back just because this is the side that I'm going to be doing the design on. So with this first step, we're just carving in our first initial bald line, and then I'm using my gamma shaver just to ensure that it's all the way down to the skin. So after we have this first line set, we can get straight into the next guideline in the fade. So we're going to start with the lever all the way open, and I am using my Gamma Ergos to execute this fade today. And I do highly recommend these clippers right here. They are a brand from Italy, but they're very good. They're really underrated. So if any of you guys are looking for some new clippers to get, I do highly recommend these clippers right here. And we'll just begin blending out that bottom line by doing some lever play, shortening our cutting stroke as we close the lever. So as you guys can see, that bottom line is already starting to blend out. So now that we have that first step done, we can now take off some of the bulk of my client's hair. So I'm using the 1.5 guard all the way closed. And just remember that anytime you guys cut hair, the fade always happens from the 0 to the 1.5. So that's why I'm taking off all the bulk right here with the 1.5 guard. Now that we have that done, blend out that final guideline right there with the half guard. So we're going to be starting with the half guard all the way open. This is cutting the hair at a number 1 guard length. And then we'll just begin closing the lever and shortening our cutting stroke to blend out that guideline. And you guys can already see that the back of this taper is already coming together. So now with my number 1 guard all the way open, I'll just begin detailing those dark areas right above our half guard. And don't be scared to go up all the way into the taper. I feel like a lot of beginner barbers or barbers in general struggle with their fades because they don't tend to bring their clipper all the way up into the blend. And you guys want to make sure that you can get this symmetrical as possible on both sides. And I do have these trimmers right here 0 gapped, so you guys can see that they're leaving a pretty crispy line. And if you guys want to buy these clippers, I do highly recommend them. Like I said, if you want to save some money on them, you can use my code Nevin10. I'll be sure to leave their link in the description on this video. And now we can get right into the design on the back of this taper, since we have our blend complete. So anytime you guys do a design, you always want to make sure that you can envision the design before you actually start cutting the hair. So with this design right here, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to give my client. So little by little, you can see I'm just carving in the desired cut that I want with my trimmers. And whenever doing this, it's very important that you guys just use the corner of your trimmer, just because it will make the job a lot easier and you can get the detail work done a lot faster. So now that we have our design complete, I'll just go with my Turkish razor to detail it out a little bit more, ensuring that it looks nice and crispy. Anytime you guys do a design, you always want to go back and hit it with the razor just to give it that extra pop. And always be sure to apply constant tension on the skin when doing this. And now that we have our back taper and design complete, we'll just taper out the sides and line up my client. So with the first step, we're going to do the same thing we did on the back, carving in our first line with our trimmers and then going in with our shaver just to get it all the way down to the skin. And now with the 1.5 guard all the way closed, I'm going to begin debulking my client's hair. That way when we start blending, we don't have to worry about blending into no bulk. So now with the clipper all the way open, this will begin cutting the hair at a 0.5 length, and I'm going to take it about a ½ inch above our skin line. And to blend it out, we'll just slowly begin closing our lever, shortening our cutting stroke. And now that we have that done, we can get straight into the half guard all the way open. So now we're cutting the hair at a 1 guard length. Again, taking it about a ½ inch above our previous section. Whenever you guys do a taper fade, you always want to make sure you keep the blend beneath the parietal ridge on the sides. So even though this is a high taper, like I said, we're still going to keep it beneath that parietal ridge bone. We can get into the 1 guard just to complete the rest of the taper. Again, starting with the lever all the way open, and then shortening your cutting stroke, closing the lever to blend out that line. Now that we have our left taper complete, we're going to finish up doing the right side of our taper, repeating the same steps. So with this first guideline right here, you want to start at the point of reference. And you never want to bring it above the ear, just because you want to give yourself enough space to complete the blend on the sides. So again, with the 1.5 guard all the way closed, we're going to begin taking off some bulk right before we get into the blend. And now with the lever all the way open, this is going to be cutting the hair at a 0.5 length. So with that first guideline, we're going to take it out by doing lever play, just how we did with the sides and the back. And you guys can see that I'm keeping a very consistent cutting stroke all the way through, even as I close my lever. And as long as you guys do this, you can execute this fading method on any style haircut. Like I said, just be sure to be consistent with your cutting stroke and keep nice consistent guidelines as you fade. So now that we have that bottom section blended out, we can complete the blend with the half guard. Starting with the half guard all the way open, cutting the hair down to a number 1 guard length. And you guys can see that that taper is already starting to come together as we close the lever on the half guard. And like I said, this made the job a lot easier for us to fade, just because we did deep bulk before we started fading into the hair. So now with the number 1 guard, I'm just going to take out those last dark areas just to complete the taper. And now that we have our taper complete, I'm going to begin my client's lineup. So first I'm going to apply some L'Oreal enhancement on the sides, just to keep it right at his natural line. And whenever you guys do a lineup, I personally think that it's easier to line up the sides first. So that's why I'm doing the sides, as you guys can see, before I do the front of his hairline. And then with the back design, just going over with the razor one more time, just to ensure, like I said, that it's nice and crispy as possible. And same thing behind the ear and on the neck. You guys want to make sure and take your razor just to ensure that all those little baby hairs on the neck are knocked off. And whenever doing this, you guys want to make sure you always apply constant tension in the opposite direction that you're using the razor. And one more time with my trimmers going behind the ear, just to make sure I got all those little baby hairs sticking out. And again, you always want to go back and detail your work just to ensure that your client gets the best cut possible. For all the barbers out there, we all know that our work is a walking billboard, so it's very important that you take pride in your work just to ensure that you can get your client back in your chair, and like I said, increase your chances of retainment. Going back one more time over my design with my edgers. You guys can see that this cut is slowly starting to come together, just as we applied all our consistent steps on each side. And if any of you guys are interested in purchasing this razor right here, feel free to visit my website at nevinthebarber.net. And now we can finish off this haircut with the lineup. So before I get into the lineup, I'm just gonna apply some spritz holding spray, and this is just gonna freeze those baby hairs in place. And you guys can see that now that we have the sides of his lineup complete, we just have to get a nice crispy line in the front. And whenever doing this, I always like to start in the middle, going to the left, and then finishing off going to the right. Of course, always keeping the hairline as natural as you can. Nobody likes a pushback hairline, and not only that, the more natural you keep the lineup, the more longer the haircut will last. So always be sure to try and keep that hairline as natural as you can. And same thing on the box, getting that nice crispy 90-degree angle. And like I said, since we did the sides before we did the front, that made the job a lot easier to get that nice crispy 90-degree angle. So if you guys haven't tried doing a lineup like this, I highly recommend it. Makes the job a lot easier. Again, just going back with my Turkish razor, just to finish off his hairline, knocking off all those little baby hairs. And that is about it for today's haircut tutorial. If you guys learned anything, I would appreciate any feedback. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you're new. And with that being said, my name is Nevin the Barber, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one.